When I started writing about racism back in the late 1960s, I started writing thinking that, maybe 8 or so other black psychiatrists would be interested in what I had to say, because black psychiatrists at that point in the late 60s were talking about racism, and indeed the black psychiatrists at that point were saying that racism was the number one mental health problem. And so it was more, as opposed to people in any heated way debating one another about racism, it was, just sharing their thinking. And then I came along with a different kind of, because a lot of the discussion was around Freudian psychoanalytically based theorizing and conceptualizing about racism. But I came along with a different point of view, and it didn't mean that everybody agreed with what I had to say, but in science, it's not a matter of just debating. In other words, it's a problem to be solved, a problem to be explained and understood. So my recommendation, instead of, people debating for fun, would be everybody who wants to participate in a discussion about racism should lay out their definition. You see, but people who classify themselves as white, racism is white supremacy behavior. There's no black racism. A black person might have negative attitudes about white people, but they don't have the power to control the lives of white people. So the functional racism is white supremacy. And so instead of black people debating with each other, black people should, try to explain why do white people behave in the way that they do towards black people. And then write their definition. What is your definition of racism? And everybody lay their definition out. For example, my definition of racism, permit me to read it, is racism, white supremacy, is a local and global power system and dynamic structured and maintained by persons who classify themselves as white, whether consciously or subconsciously determined, which consists of patterns of perception, logic, symbol formation, thought, speech, action, and emotional response, as conducted simultaneously in all areas of people activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, for the ultimate purpose of white genetic survival and to prevent white genetic annihilation on planet Earth, a planet upon which the vast and overwhelming majority of people are classified as non-white, meaning black, brown, red, and yellow, by white-skinned people. And all of the non-white people are genetically dominant in terms of skin coloration compared to the genetic recessive white-skinned people. Now, that's my definition. And we'll not get in a discussion with people until they say, this is my definition. It's just like if scientists or physicians are researching cancer, and so a person has a particular concept about what the specific cancer is all about, what is the causation, then they lay that out. They're not talking just for the sake of talking and saying, I don't agree with you. No, what is your definition of what it is that you're talking about? And I maintain that my definition, I just put that out there. My definition is the only one-paragraph definition that explains this behavior of racism, white supremacy, comprehensively. And note, as I say, the behavior exists for the particular purpose of white genetic survival and to prevent white genetic annihilation on planet Earth because of the specific demographic conditions that exist on planet Earth. And with this definition, you can understand everything that the people that classify themselves as white do, including their obsession with ball games. So, again, and if white people who classify themselves as white, who are interested in maintaining white supremacy, what they will do is pull black people together and have them debating with each other, as opposed to all black people should be challenging white people. Accept this definition of racism. If not, what's your definition? Talking to people who classify themselves as white. What's your definition and explanation for racism, white supremacy behavior? If this is not it, what is yours? But see, that, in other words, divert the focusing away from people who classify themselves as white. Let the black people squabble and argue with each other. Because for the most part, they will not squabble and argue with white people. They want white approval, so that means that they will squabble with each other, not focus on white people, not talk about white responsibility.